Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. And today I'm in the sanctuary. I've got my Lucifer shirt on with the kitten on it, making a little fun at everything, I guess. And thank you, Dustin, for coming up with all the great designs. And we love cats around the Fledge, don't we, y'all? So today I want to give a shout out to obviously 517living.com. Been talking about them a lot. This ENT.com, talk about them all the time. And also want to bring up a few events that we've got coming up. So tomorrow we have, and this will show you that we're getting back into the groove. Tomorrow we have Harm None, Help All, which is a harm reduction for substance use disorder. Whole event that will have a ton of resources available. And if you are suffering from substance use or you have a loved one or whatever, we've got all kinds of resources that will help you. So come out tomorrow between 12 and 6 to check that event out. We also tomorrow night will be having a graduation party for the One and All Cohort 3 and watching live. So if you're part of One and All, please come to that party. All are invited. And then Friday night, the Poor People's Campaign and We the People, We the Free People, and a bunch of other groups are getting together, and we're having our first open mic of the year, or since COVID closed. And then Saturday, Sunday, we have the Fledge's Freedom Fest and the vendors and the food and the speakers and all kinds of different things to do throughout Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday, as part of the Fledge's Freedom Fest, we also have the Returning Citizen Resource Fair, and we're going to have tons of vendors that can help you out. So if you've got a felony, or you're on parole, or you're on probation, or even if you're in pretrial, come see us on Monday. There's lots of resources that we can offer and our partners can offer to help you get through that process. So, and also a shout out to Power and Passion and Katie Kelly for how hard she's working to make all of this come together. Now, related to recovery, we have our great friend, Kat. How you doing, Kat?
Good. How are you, Jerry?
I am doing well. So I'm just gonna say you've been volunteering all morning. You've been working in the kitchen. So thank you so very much for coming and help. What do you think? Is the place going to look nice for the weekend?
Yeah, you guys are working hard in here. I can tell, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Every time I come down, there's something getting done. So you can tell. I'm excited for the weekend.
I'm excited for the weekend too. So you're going to be around, right?
Oh yeah, I live right down the street.
So let's kind of jump into you for a little bit.
Okay.
Where were you born and raised, and where'd you go to school and all that stuff?
Okay, well, I was born and raised up in Clare, Michigan, Midland County. I grew up on a pig farm up there. Actually, cool fact, I did 4-H for 10 years. Did the showing of the animal and completed the program, so that was kind of exciting, doing it from 9 to 19. Not a lot of people can say they did that with agriculture, and animals. But yeah, I just grew up a small base, gardening, farm life, small community. When I was 6, my mom remarried and I relocated to the Lansing area, actually in Hazlet. And I graduated in Hazlet 2004, and I just stayed local. Went away to Ferris State University, completed back about 2008 and left. And so this is the area I've known pretty much all my life since I was 6, between Midland and this area. So yeah.
But what'd you study at FSU?
Business administration. And then I went to Minnesota, lived in the Twin Cities for about a year. Yeah, it was a little over a year. And then I got pregnant with my first one. We had some issues with the father. He was very domestic violence through the whole pregnancy. I was trying to make it work, make the excuses just to justify for him type thing. So that's kind of where my stuff from my trauma started, was that. So I gave birth. My family found out what was happening, and they said, no, come home. So I moved back home, and I stayed in the area, and I had 4 children back to back. I have 2 boys, 2 girls, and they are literally 8 years, 9, 10, 11, and 12 years old. 2 sets of Irish twins, as everyone says. And they say, how did you do it? And I say, organization and routine. So anyway, when the last one was born in 2012, she was the one that was the star of the show the other day with Mr. Henry. She was like the of my life at that point. Like, I need to get my life together because I wasn't really doing business. I was working locally as a cake decorator. I actually worked here at Walmart, Sugar Shack, just doing the artsy thing. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go back to school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So my mom's a nurse, and I said, well, I've known for a career because she was a hospice nurse. So we used to on call. So I'd hear all sorts of stuff that medical wise, and people would be like, what's that? So I decided, let's go to medical school. My mom said, we'll do CNA MA first. So I went to Ross Medical Center up here in Lansing and completed that in 2012 and worked here locally, like at Lansing Urgent Care, ENT, those areas. And I fell in love with it. I mean, I was there 9 months, and the doctors there, the PAs, they're like, go be a nurse. So I applied to Everest and Grand Rapids, and there I actually was the last graduating class. I got accepted immediately. I started within 3 months from there, and I had 4. At that time, I also became separated from my kids, the rest of my kids' father. We were together at that point 6 years. We separated. That's kind of when my mental health took like a spiral. And then addiction kind of came in and started playing a role because I had no addiction. I mean, I had used like THC, like I was at 14 years. Then I didn't really use it till I was 18, 19, like college, peer pressure, trying to be cool type thing. And then I just kind of, once I graduated, I didn't drink. I mean, I didn't even drink alcohol. My 21st birthday, I drank twice the whole summer. My birthday is in May. So, and then when I became a single parent, the reality of stress of single parent, even though you're co-parenting, you still have that, like when the children are mainly in your home. I mean, I'm working 12-hour shifts as a nurse, as a rehab nurse at this point, and they turn into 16s. Unfortunately, if you don't have a nurse show up to report to you, you are mandated to stay 16 hours. So it was easily 4 to 5 days a week I was doing nursing. And then in between there, the other 8 hours was kids, homework, trying to get them to and from things. So, I mean, it was hard. So I went to drinking. The gentleman at the time I was dating introduced me to alcohol as a regular basis, honestly, a regular rate, what a normal person would drink. But unfortunately, I was not medicated with my mental health and spiraled out of control to where I was drinking. I mean, reality, I was drinking even while I was at work. I mean, the withdrawals, the shakes. I mean, this is the reality of addiction. It was so bad. And unfortunately, now that I'm in recovery, it's amazing the medical field, the mental health field, and how it correlates and how many people in addiction there is in the health field. And it's honestly sad because we work so hard and we stress out so much taking care of other people that we don't take care of ourselves. So that's kind of where my addiction story starts. So I don't know if you want to go from there, Jerry, or what do you want to do?
Well, I want to go back
Okay.
almost to the beginning for a second. I'm going to show something that Luna Brown said. I did 4-H and FFA, mostly herbs and poultry.
Chickens.
And, everything I know about chickens is because my daughter Raven, who runs the Fledge Foundation now, was in 4-H for so long, and she was so great at raising chickens. So we've been raising chickens forever.
Yeah, I'm the only one I think in my family that doesn't have really chickens. I've been interested in it, but I think it's one of those things where I'll start and then do that. I call it the 3-day monk in recovery, where we have the great idea for 3 days, and then we're like, yeah, never mind. It didn't sound so good. Yeah, I think the chickens would be one of those things. That's really cool, Luna. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the other thing Luna says is that he hated, first tried weed as a freshman in college and hated it, but now he smokes
every day. Yep.
Every damn day.
Yep. And that is part of my recovery. I am I have a medical marijuana license, and I choose that as part of my recovery for my mental health with my PTSD and bipolar. So with all little other things whether you need it, it's recreational. And Jerry, I mean, you've had some good conversations about this recovery and reduction harming, and like I'm a full support of it because I'd rather have somebody using Suboxone or a methadone clinic or THC versus being on the street, strung on a heroin or OD'd and, walking by on a corner. You know what I mean? So I feel there's a lot of judgment and stigma in the recovery community, unfortunately. And in the recovery community, we are not judgmental. But unfortunately, society, we have the stigma of it, and I'm just awareness of it. So that's great, Luna.
Yeah, let's actually go back to the beginning of that. Let's talk about alcohol and alcoholism first, because a lot of, you see people in this neighborhood, you can walk out on the street and see them right now today. I'll show you where exactly where they're at.
Yep.
They are addicted to heroin. They're addicted to meth. They're addicted to crack. And, we think about that. I think a lot of people think about that with addiction, but not so much alcohol.
No. Let me educate you.
Yes,
let me
please.
educate you. Okay, so I am in the medical field, and I didn't even know these terms. I didn't even know what recovery was. I didn't know inpatient. I didn't know anything. It got so bad I was like, we're going inpatient. So here we are. I'm an inpatient. I'm an alcoholic. I had that stigma. I'm better. You're a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. No, there is no better. Because the thing is if you're a drug addict, you have this part in your brain, the front part of your brain, that cortex, where you literally are an addiction. It is an actual disease. It doesn't matter what it is. I have an addiction personality. So I don't say I'm an alcoholic. I say I'm an addict. I've used Adderall for 4 months. I had an eating disorder. It doesn't matter. Addiction's addiction. So I say there's one no better than the other. Whether you do one, you will pick up another eventually down the road. Sorry.
So at the end of the day, people are using, no matter what it is, whether it's even, self-harm at some level, they're doing this for some reason that makes them feel better.
Yes.
And everyone
fix what's there that they're trying to ignore. It's a temporary fix for a problem that underlying root cause that we got to get to.
So those first questions of why do you drink start to come out, and the very raw, right to the gist answer is to feel better.
Yep. And most of the time you'll hear, I go out just socially. And that is, people go out and, I've met people that they have a beer every time they eat. And that's normal. In some countries, they literally take a time out just to have wine, in Italy, it's a normal cultural thing. But where do you cross that line where I'm using it to do what you just said, fill that void? And that's what I was doing. It got to that point where when that's all you're thinking, the first thing is to go buy a bottle in the morning, down to you have your money budgeted, down to the last penny, where that's going, because you don't want the withdrawals, the symptoms of it. So yeah, it's real. That's where alcohol crosses the line.
Yeah. And let's talk about, so does this happen to everybody? Why did it happen to you? How many people is it happening to that are in denial, that don't know it?
My gosh, a lot. I even heard it in recovery. I almost died. Here I am, an alcoholic. I'm sitting next to somebody with an addiction to a drug, and drug is alcohol's a drug. A different substance. And they try to tell me that, their uncle or parents are functioning alcoholic and that's okay. And I said, yeah, I was too, until it got too far to where it's all I'm doing is drinking. I'm literally not even getting out of bed. There's no point of life at that rate. I'm filling that void. So the numbers are great. There's so many people, like you said, just walking outside. You go down the street, you see somebody intoxicated and you can tell the symptoms, and it's being sober now. You see it way more, where prior you're so in your own little bubble, your own little world, that you're not aware of it. So it's out there, it's everywhere. And it's people you don't think, like me. I'm a nurse. You wouldn't think I'm professional. And my whole life changed from this just alcohol. And Jerry, you know the story. It changed my whole life. So let's get ready and tell them, Jerry. I bet you they'll rethink that alcohol as an addiction.
Yeah. So, and then, there is that, I'm not an addict. I'm just, I drink alcohol.
I'm just alcohol. Yeah, no, it's alcohol. And they even say in NA, because I do AA and NA meetings. I like both programs. They're very similar, but there's one that has things that other doesn't. And, home groups, everyone's preferences. But you hear that in NA, that don't be confused just because you hear alcohol, it's still a drug. And where in AA, it's just alcohol or a substance, and you have to educate yourself to know it's a line's a line. Where do you cross that line? And it can target anybody. We don't wake up in kindergarten at 5 years old and say, I'm going to be an addict. I didn't choose to be an addict. I didn't choose when I went to nursing school and blown almost my whole career away being addicted to alcohol. I didn't choose that. It's actions I took, and unfortunately choices I made, and my own self choices. But I can't do the shame and blame game either. So I can either grow from it and be better, or still live in the world of addiction. As a great person that inspired me said, you either work recovery or you work addiction. Either way, it's the same amount of work you put into it. You just choose what you do.
Yeah. I mean, it's just as hard to be,
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
just to rephrase what you're saying.
Yeah, happy or
It's just
sad, angry, happy. It's the same work,
Yeah.
you know. We choose our mood, we choose our mental health, but that was something I learned in my recovery too. That when I get in that state of mind and I learn coping skills I didn't know. I learned those things, so that's one of those things I had to learn to utilize that. So yeah.
So, we talked a little bit about reducing harm or harm reduction just a little bit ago. Do you see, well, first of all, does Zap stop working? What's wrong with you? Come on, to get your shit together. Does that work?
The pep talk? Yeah.
No. The pep talk?
I call it the pep talk. Get your shit together and get your thinking thought process. But what are you talking about? The Zap? I guess I'm confused what you're talking about.
Like just stop using right now.
Oh yeah, it did. The absentee, I guess, the alcohol. Yeah, that's literally what I did. I woke up one day and was just like, I'm done. I found out I had the charge from an action I took being intoxicated. I had to turn myself in. If I didn't make this choice, I might as well just kept drinking in a closet somewhere. I mean, honestly.
But did that urge go away? Did you still?
Oh no, the urge is still there. Oh, the urge is there. It's called pink cloud. People will get on a pink cloud. You get so cocky and confident in your recovery, and you have to reality. And I think I did do that though. I think it was week 4 in recovery. I'm like, I got this. Yeah, no. All the emotions start after that. Yeah, and then reality hits when you go from inpatient and you go to home. I didn't do transitional. And I went home, and then all the other things hit that you were in a safe environment. Now you're at home. That's a safe environment, but reality of the world's there, bills and, emotions that you were secured now that your spouse is there, your children. So it's a lot. It's the reality of it that you have to carry on and make sure the process keeps going.
Yeah. And when you're in a facility like that, where you cannot get it, your brain kind of calms down a little bit about that, right?
And so when you get home, like you said, addiction's everywhere. There's, right down the street, there's alcohol, especially alcohol. And so I remembered I was walking, I think it's Shorty's down here. I was walking to the downtown Myers Market, and, we were walking down Michigan, and there was a bar there, and I walked by, and I felt guilty, just walking by the bar, because I felt it violated my, recovery or something. But with the urges, you'll randomly have them. I haven't had them for months. I've been sober actually for 6 months. I just celebrate going on 7 months, and I'll have an urge, I'll have a dream with alcohol in it, and then when I wake up, I actually felt like it was real. And then I'm like, you might get the urge to drink, and then you're like, nope, correct your thinking. Think of something positive or go like this. And it only takes 7 minutes, statistically 8 minutes. I believe I've even heard 10 minutes to fight that urge. So that's when you're supposed to supplement it with a different activity. Hence all my art and activities that I've been doing for my recovery. So you can't get bored in recovery. You really can't. You got to learn. You got to stay busy.
Yeah. The people that I see lasting the longest in recovery, and I've seen a lot of people, what they call it, fall off the wagon.
The wagon, relapse. Yeah, they call it relapse. They tell you to be realistic that relapse can happen in recovery. I hate that thinking, because I feel like, well, if I'm in relapse, I might as well go relapse. And then, it's one of those things of I did wrong, so if I admit it, then it makes it better type thing. Give me 3 Hail Marys and it'll make it go away, and then I'm sober again. It doesn't work that way. I feel like, no.
So in what I've learned is that relapse is that dream you had. Mm-hmm. Lapsing is if you would have drank
yes,
after that.
It's 3 steps. There's the trigger, something that triggers it, the thought, and then eventually the use. That is literally the 3 steps to a relapse. So something will trigger. So if you have a dream, or the other day, for example, I will give you a perfect example of a trigger. I reconnected with somebody I hadn't spoken to since years that was involved, that I actually had drank with, and I couldn't figure out, why am I thinking about drinking all of a sudden? We never had the discussion, nothing, but it was just that correlation of that connection. And then I realized, nope, first thought wrong, get out of that thought and move on.
Yeah, if you get off a bus, so they let you out of jail or rehab or whatever, and you haven't thought about alcohol for a year, or heroin or crack or whatever. Yeah. You get off the bus that you used to take home from work every day. Your house is right there, and your local bar is right over there. You're gonna automatically
will want to go to that bar. I mean, that's what I did. Jerry, when I was incarcerated, that was the first thing I did. I was incarcerated 10 months. I call it forced sobriety, because I would have been drinking if I wasn't incarcerated. And literally I got out and I was sober not even 7 days, and total relapse. One little thing, relapse.
Your friend who was on the show a couple
Shelly.
of weeks ago.
Yeah, Shelly.
She talked about the drunk horse thief, and if as soon as you cure them from being a drunk, you still have that horse thief, right?
Yep.
So again, you still have, you're pouring that alcohol, or you're whatever you're doing it to get rid of that feeling, or to feel better about that feeling. And if you don't solve that, you're going to substitute it with something else.
Another,
right?
Yep, exactly. And hence the unfortunate addictive personality. It's filling that void, and that's part of that disease process, unfortunately.
So you know how I feel about harm reduction, but I'm going to challenge you on something if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So aren't you just taking alcohol and substituting marijuana for it? And why not?
I don't feel like I am, because marijuana, I use it as an anti-anxiety. A lot of my I take it for PTSD and bipolar. So I can literally have a manic moment. My moods can switch automatically, and I can go from 0 to 60, Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So I have to, like, I've done a lot of coping skills. I've done even where I check myself and be like, okay, wait, put myself in their shoes, try to redo. I do a lot of mental health things, and it'll still be that where even my medications, I can literally have anxiety. I will be shaking like this. My body is my physical reaction. So with the THC, I have like a vape pen. I hit it. My natural physical body being takes care of that. It's not dealing with my mental state at that point. It's my natural body's reaction to that PTSD. So no, that's why I don't consider it. Where the alcohol, I was going and buying that bottle for that mental health, to drink my life away, to take care of that void, to ignore that issue. Where right now I'm on my medication. I see therapy at a lot a week, doctor's appointments, doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, and it's actually prescribed and recommended by an actual physician. And that is another topic. It's just like Suboxone or a methadone clinic. So if it wasn't, and I don't want to say the doctors, because the doctors, that's another subject, but because doctors can just write prescriptions and whatnot. But that's where it helps me with my body, is the physical effects of the PTSD and bipolar versus the mental, emotional, like I was using the alcohol for. If I broke that down correct.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm still in this Discord mode. So
sorry.
Yeah,
debate.
No. Your answer was great.
Evil.
But is marijuana keeping you from drinking? Is it helping?
No, I still have urges. I had an urge, like I said, I still had an urge. Do I feel it's helping? Yes. I mean, yeah, because if I didn't have that physical being, the first thing I'm going to do is go down that street and go to the alcohol store and get the bottle, because it gets so out of control that if I don't smoke and it gets that physical, I'm going to let the physical get to my mind. It's going to go out of control. And then I get too mentally, and then I go to drinking, ignore it. And that's N-word cycle at that point.
Yeah. And I bet you here that you're just substituting alcohol with another drug, right?
Yep.
And there's a lot of people in the sober community. Well, they call it that would
I call it that too, sober community. I get it. I get judged. And first thing I say is, what are you to judge? You are sober yourself, and we are that stigma of where we were judged by our family, our peers in addiction. So how in your right mind are you looking at me and judging me off what I choose for my recovery? Because recovery is different. Everybody's recovery is different. I choose to have THC in my recovery, and if that affects your recovery, I'm sorry, but that's your recovery. I will respect that though. But you know what I mean? And I've had that. I've had relationships affected by it where, I'm honest. I got thrown over the coals because of THC, and I was honest and said that I use THC. This is at my home, and I know you're in recovery, and if you come to my home, and I made it full disclosure. Well, I had a flare up of PTSD. I wanted to go use. I asked prior. Long story short, I got judged by it. I got told it affected their recovery, and I said that was your lack of responsibility for yourself, because if I wasn't serious, I wouldn't have disclosed that. So unfortunately, the stigma's there, the judgment's there. All I can do is just keep educating and being that non-judgmental part of that I am, and that I know I am, and just keep passing that out and educating. And that's why I'm starting my entrepreneurship with what I'm doing, to give that education and the harm reduction and those things.
Yeah. Let's get there in one more second.
Yeah, you're fine.
So a couple tough questions.
Yeah.
Better to still use heroin a little bit, have safe needles, and have Narcan available to you, or just use recklessly, or be
No,
told,
the first one,
right?
use needles, use the Narcan, have those things. I mean, what's the difference than that and Plan B for pregnancies? I mean, it's the safety of it. The thing is if you're going to use, you're going to use. If you're going to go to recovery, you're going to choose recovery. And again, that's a whole criminal justice system where they force people to go in. If you're not ready and you don't want it, it's not going to happen. So, and I've heard that on this show so many times of anybody in recovery say this, and you can't force it. So if that person is going to be used, I'm the one that's going to go hand that clean needle. I will go, and I've actually had a friend, heroin, I handed her clean syringes that I had gotten for her because I'd rather her use clean than get needle and get AIDS or hepatitis or something else to make it even worse.
So someone who's lost a child, I look at it as I would have liked to kept her alive for one more day. And then one more day
could have been that clean needle that in a safe area, in a safe environment. And I've heard Daniela's story. It touched me. That's actually how I think that was one of the first I told you, the podcast that touched my soul. I think I came down and introduced myself to you, Jerry, and I said that. I said, man, that touched my soul. So yeah, and I'd rather would had Daniela do that than going in that bathroom at that Quality Dairy and have a safe place and have those things. And unfortunately, again, it's the community, it's the awareness.
Yeah, and we did get for everyone listening, we did get a lot of fentanyl test strips last night, so we will be handing those out tomorrow. And here's something I'm going to say to you. I'd like to I want to say to people, and I'd like to hear your response. If you are dealing cocaine, heroin, any pills, anything that has the possibility of fentanyl in it, please come get some test strips from us, and please be, I'm just going to say this, please be a responsible drug dealer.
User. They say if you're going to do what you do, to be the best damn thing you do at it. So if you're going to be a drug addict or a drug dealer, come down here and get tested. Down to weed, even marijuana. You can have fentanyl laced in it. I actually, in the medical field, had somebody OD on that, off marijuana. So come down, Jerry. I think the Fletch is amazing for doing something like this. So amazing.
So 12 to 6 tomorrow, everyone. Yes. I'll say again, come get some resources and come start your journey. You don't have to, everyone else, especially the court systems, you got to start right now. You got to do this. And if you're not ready, then you're not ready.
6 steps of change, Jerry.
let's build that scaffolding, those 6 steps to get you to a point where you are ready. But I'll tell you right now, if you're dead, you ain't going to be ready.
You're not going to be ready ever. And that's the problem. And if it's that one clean needle that we need to do it in less, like we said, of harm reduction going, then that's the way to do it. That's literally the way to do it.
So you said you're an entrepreneur. What?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So I came into this recovery community not even knowing what in the world I was looking at. And so we got in there, and I'm a smart mouth, and I'm smart personality, smart. Can I say ASS on here? I wasn't.
You can swear as much as you want.
Okay. Well, I'm a smart ass. I have a smart ass personality.
Your
I didn't know if I
could was swearing the whole time.
Oh, I'm sure. She did. She sometimes will slip out hell though. She'll be like, "What the hell?" And what do you do as a parent then? Because I'm like, she got that from me. I just explained to her, you gotta educate them.
I changed the show to every dang day.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cute. That's what got my attention. I'm like, you must have the kids on there. I was so excited. But so I'm in recovery. I'm a smart ass, and as we're going to this group of girls, this awesome group of girls, because I give them all the credit to help me with this idea. We came up with T-shirt logos with #recovery. I'm talking about pooping machine since I've been clean. #recovery. My personal one. This is the slogan. My motto. My addiction is acute. Recovery is chronic. Addiction is a temporary thing. Recovery, we can make it a long-term chronic thing. It's a slow process. It could be fast. It could be your pace, whatever. But it's educating that. So I came up with this, and it took off. So now I'm starting Jadoir, which is with love in French. Jadoir, Jadoir, not to get confused with Dior, Jadoir. And I came up with the RefugE recovery refuge for this T-shirt idea to educate the awareness and getting the reality of what recovery really is. I mean, let's stop sugarcoating. Let's stop, like you said, let's get the real legits of recovery, not what they advertise or cookie cutter it. It's not real. So these t-shirts are I've gotten a lot of interest. I kind of threw it out there, and then I got a home, but coming home and transitioning is harder than you realize. So I dealt with my own, my own stuff to get back on track. Here I am. It was keeping my mental health back, keeping it from where I was at in patient and keep going with that good success. And I wanted to give myself that. So here I am 6-7 months now, and I'm ready to get that going. So we have an email started. I even applied with your recommendation for the One and All program to get this started, to see about some grants. And we are taking the money and making the shirts and selling them. And all this is a nonprofit. It's going back to the Lansing recovery community, especially Mid-Michigan Recovery Services. They are like the huge inspiration of my recovery. They're still involved in my life. It's been transformational. So we're getting a website built. We're going to do online sales, be able to ship them out. I have to be careful, like ANA, you can't sell anything like that. So, working with the Fledge, get on these events, give money back, because I'm working really close with you, Jerry. He's teaching me lots of stuff with this, because I'm still new, even though we got that business history and that their education there, it doesn't make you a business person. So it's learning how we go, and you're helping me along the way. So that's my vision.
Well, the more people on the team, the better.
Yes, that's the way I look at it. It takes a team to build it, make it work. I mean,
more brains is a bigger brain.
Yes.
So, are you excited about it? I know
I am, but I don't want to be confident about it, like that pink cloud of a business, I guess you would say, because I really want this I'm truly passionate about it, and I truly want this to be something to lead on, like the Fledge. Like when you started this, did you ever imagine your mission being, as great as it is? They're coming out with every damn day, it's just where I'm seeing it. I can see it go so far because I have such community interest and stuff. So I'm excited to see where it goes. That's where I'm excited, but I don't want to overwhelm myself with it, especially because recovery is my number one focus. And I'm also back in school. So I'm kind of giving grace with it, but I am excited. I can't wait to see somebody with a shirt and be like, what? That's Jadoir Recovery.
I'm getting the first shirt.
Yes, actually, I got about literally 10 people that want shirts already. And then actually, last week, I had about 10 more people. So I got to get them going. It's just getting it going. So we're getting there, though.
Yeah. So, how many weeks, how many months have we been talking about this? You maintain the passion. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
You're well beyond that 3-day.
Month thing.
Yeah. So what's something you've been doing every damn day to push your needle towards that?
Honestly, Jerry, grace. I had to learn that. I had control. I had control issue. I had to let go of control and realize I can't control everything. So it's just when I'm staying outside, and I'm hearing my bird. I love this neighborhood because the birds are amazing. It's very therapeutic. And I'll be listening to birds, and I'm like, that's my reason. And I'll be like, let me go on the laptop and apply for the EIN number or the One and All program, looking into it, going to the website. It's just that grace and knowing it's not rushed. It's not. It's going to be there, and taking my time and making sure I do this, because I always push and rush things, and I've learned grace and letting go of control. So I have to say those two things are what's gotten that push every day to do that. And that reminder.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah. And I'm proud of you for, what'd you say, 7 months? You're real close?
Yep, 7 months on the 11th. Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe it. I remember when people were like, you're 90 days, you're 30 days. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'll be excited for 6 months and then a year. And then when I hit 5 years, and I'll be that person at 20 years, So it makes it I like a challenge. I like the kitchen downstairs when you said about the kitchen. You're like, and I said, yeah, I bet you it'll be clean. Yeah, I like a challenge. So I look at I'm going to be that person at 5 years that still says I'm sober. So it's a motivation, kind of determination, my core values that I have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
You know how we daisy chain the shows together.
Yeah.
And yesterday on the show, I had John Melcher, who works for the MSU Outreach right there on MSU. He's in community and economic development. And his question to you was, who is somebody in your life that made a significant difference to you? And tell us about that.
I would have to say the biggest person is my mom. She was a nurse, and I touched base on that before. She was a single parent of 5 kids, and she chucked through it and did it. She raised all of us. We all graduated all had got careers. She was one thing she was always proud of about us kids, which she said, if I died tomorrow, I know my kids would be all right. And so she was my inspiration, but she was my inspiration through my recovery because unfortunately I had never gotten in trouble with the law, and I bared weight in handcuffs while I was intoxicated, and I got a county year, which is 10 months incarceration up north. And during that time I was waiting to be sentenced. I literally got sentenced, and my mom passed away from a heart attack. So a mile down the street from the jail I was at. And so I couldn't go to her funeral because it was during Christmas. There was no judge. So when I said I was actually the last one of the kids to see her. So the last time she saw me was in orange, a jumpsuit. And she said, you need help. You need to go get help. You need to get your mental health. You need to do these things for you and your kids. And here she is sitting behind a glass window with my 4 children right there that she had just brought to the jail to see me. And if that isn't reality to do better and to get help, I don't know what was, until I got out and got even more trouble and relapsed. So it's she's my inspiration. She's the one that keeps me. And when I wanted to get help, I wasn't ready. I didn't know how. And hence the process of change, those 6 steps of change, the pre-contemplation, the acting on it, you get to the steps. And finally that voice, that motivation, and everything she went through is what inspires me to keep doing it. She's my voice in my head, that pep talk.
That was actually going to be a question that I asked earlier. Was there that significant event that it was like, fuck, this is it. I have to.
Yeah, it was that was the biggest event. And then it was when I got out, and then when I relapsed, 4 of my children, they were with my mother and father, the care of my mother and father, while I was incarcerated by the judge, actually, that was putting me through all the crap I've been through. But pretty much during that time while I was sitting there, 2 of my children was raped by my father. So I've had to deal with front of the court and all this, even being out of jail. I'm still in the action of doing it. It's been a whirlwind, and that was the whole PTSD, and where I say physical being of when I can have that state of mind where I could be zoned out, and I go back to where I'm sitting in that cell and I'm reading those papers of what my father did to my daughter. It's very detailed. And so that's where, when I say my medication mentally is working, where I can get that train of thought, but my body will physically be responding. So hence the medical. But yeah, those events were what led me to spiral fully out of control.
And I'm very sorry about what happened there.
It's a lot of trauma classes.
That's a ton of loss and trauma.
It's a lot of loss. Yeah, severe. And they said they were shocked I didn't have a severe mental breakdown when I got out of incarceration. So they said the fact that you just simply did. I mean, it wasn't simple what I did, my actions, but I'm dealing with my actions. I've stepped up. I turned myself in. I found out, I had a warrant, and part of the whole recovery is being honest. And so when I was ready, you got to face it head on. There's no running.
Should they have put you in the hospital before they put you in the jail?
Oh God, yeah. They should have. They should have offered me a recovery. They should have offered me mental health while I was in there, Jerry. They didn't even. You know what they did to me? They came down and they said, my sisters came up to visit me. You get 1 visit a week. They said, well, this counts as your visit, and we're gonna let you do it 30 minutes early, but this counts as your visit. And I had to see my sisters and put my hand on a glass through there, and that was my visit for my mom's. That was my funeral session for my mom. We submitted all the court paperwork. We did all that stuff. It still didn't matter. And they came down that day. There were COs 6 months later. It was a small jail, Jerry. There was only 3 females in that jail. It was during COVID. So the COs knew who I was. They didn't even know my mom passed away. They didn't offer any mental health, no CMH, nothing. I mean, there was nothing. I even reached out and asked.
And there wasn't anybody coming into the jails? Nope. There wasn't meetings or anything?
Nope, because of COVID. They shut everything down. I was isolated to a 5x6 room with 1 cell. I had my own bed and a thing, and I shared a room with 3 women. So my counseling was those 2 women and the CO that walked in and beeped every half hour to hour. So
did they give you help with withdrawal?
No, nothing. They put you in a concrete room. That's a withdrawal with a little step and a mat. You don't even get a towel. You don't get a washcloth. I sat in there 48 hours.
Do you think everybody knows how dangerous that is?
Nope. you know how alcohol, withdrawing from alcohol is one of the most deadliest things, right? It's worse than any withdrawal ever, and you can seize and die and choke on your own vomit. Yeah, no, they don't. And Jerry, let me get this. I have hypoglycemia. I try to educate them that my sugars were crashing. I needed a snack at 9 o'clock at night. The CEO told me that I had to wait. He handed me a nurse's slip and told me I needed to fill a nurse's slip out. And I said, you know what hypoglycemia was, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, so if I crash, my sugars crash and I go into coma, I'm screwed. And he said, well, we'll deal with it when that happens. So imagine if I'm ODing in jail, withdrawing from symptoms. I can't even imagine. So that's a whole nother subject, Jerry. That's a good conversation on a different day.
I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
It is the number one killer, withdrawing from alcohol in this space that we're talking about. And it makes me think, how many of these, I'll just say old rich white guys have died of that, but it's been covered up with something else.
Tons. Right? Oh God, yeah. And not even just, and that's why I said it's the people you least expect it that are the addiction addicts. That's why I said you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
Yeah.
So tomorrow on the show, I've got Drew Coleman. He's got Coal Beans Teas, Rustic Root Tea House. You know who this is?
Yeah.
What question would you like to ask them?
I would like to ask you, how are you giving back to your community? What are you doing to help your community? Whatever it is that you like to do, what are you doing to give back to community? Because that's one thing I'm learning, especially in recovery, and hence volunteering today, is just giving back and jumping in and getting to know your community. And it is really a great community. So I'm just, what are you doing for your community? Let's see it.
I love it. And I'm gonna, I don't know if you just answered it, but I've pushed that question back at you. What are you doing?
The shirts. I'm here volunteering. I'm wherever you need help, I'm here. And I'm staying sober. Honestly, the biggest thing, I'm staying sober because I'm a reckless endangerment to my community when I'm intoxicated. So what am I doing for my community? I'm staying sober and educating my community about those things. And hopefully soon you guys will see the shirts and we'll get on the road. But right now, that's where I'm at with. That's what I'm doing for my community.
That's it. That's awesome. So just real quick, Luna's always there. I love Drew.
Yes.
Katie's up there saying, she's always shut them down.
Yep. It was horrible.
Yeah.
We didn't even get masks in there until July, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, dead serious. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
So, the next question: happiness, sadness, joy, and hope.
I'm gonna pick sadness. Good. I don't hear that one that much. I'm gonna pick.
You're only the second person.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that because I feel like if I didn't go through that sadness, and Jerry, we actually were just talking about that, like with this whole COVID thing. I feel like if we don't face sadness or we don't face those things, it doesn't make us grow and stronger, because sadness helps us heal, and if we handle them appropriately, it makes us stronger and more of a beautiful person. It's like scars, I don't know. I like sadness. It's a driven motivation. I know there's better life and that hope out there. I guess it kind of all correlates together, Jerry.
Yeah. Well, why do you think sadness is so important?
Because it makes you, to me, it motivates me. I think sadness is important because emotion and sadness is a huge, huge emotion. And it's okay to express sadness. It's okay to say these things. And that sadness I felt in jail, and the sadness I went through, and the sadness of those choices I made, and when I realized all those things I did do, is what gives me that motivation and that drive to be that person I know I can and I was, but even a better version of myself, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It's the signals that we need to kind of figure out what's going on inside and out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the pain we feel on our fingertip when we touch the stove tells us to pull away from that stove. Yeah. And maybe that sadness told you something.
So get it together. Get it together. Yeah, it did. The sadness is literally the self-pity is me how do you say burrowing in my own self-pity is what I was doing. And if I feel like if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't have wanted to become a stronger me.
Yeah. When you I'm kind of starting to wrap up a little bit.
Yeah.
And when you think about, the recovery community, and you look around the table, and I'm not saying, well, there's John there and Bill there and whatever. But is that a really diverse crowd?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, even it was so diverse, even inpatient. I mean, you had career down to homeless, down to somebody that was in there in and out, down to somebody's first rodeo, down to an 18-year-old that had come in. You know, it's so diverse. Addiction doesn't discriminate. That's what I say. It does not discriminate.
Have you ever talked to anybody that said, by 5 years old, I knew I wanted to be an addict? You said that earlier.
Yeah, no, I don't believe it.
Or by 10 years old?
Yeah.
Or
No,
does anybody ever really want to be an addict?
If they do, I'd love to have that conversation just because I love sociology and I'd love to study that, the quantity on that, Jerry, because I wouldn't understand that. So it'd be something I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think that you can, but I mean, it would be a great conversation with somebody though.
What do they say in AA about how alcohol is sneaky and...
Oh, it creeps up on you. Yeah. And that's what it does. Yeah, you lose that full sight of it and it creeps up on you. Yeah. It is true. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Thank you so very much
for
doing the show. I mean, you came in early. You were going to do it later in the summer, but we're going to be doing other things, and you and I will be working together.
I know.
And you're so very articulate and so very smart, not just in these subjects and all these other things. So very useful stuff tomorrow. And
thank you. I know, I'm excited. I'm going to come and join the event tomorrow and just kind of get a feeler. So you'll be seeing me with these events. And I think that just more education for myself with my own, my own personal recovery and this whole recovery refuge and getting this business going. So I'm excited. Thanks for having me, Jerry.
Well, thanks for being here. All right, everyone. That starts to wrap it up every damn day at 2 p.m. If you have scheduled a session and you're seeing this, please try to keep your session. It's very difficult to juggle all of these things, and it takes over my day sometimes. So luckily I had Kat here to help me fill in. We're going to have to unschedule your last one. And yeah. So
somebody can fill that in. September 3rd is available if anybody wants to get on there and do it.
And September 11th is the last show we're going to have. So get out there, get on the show, and we'll keep rolling on.
Yeah.
What would you like to take us out with?
Positivity, smile, laugh. You're having a bad day or you see somebody grouchy, just turn and just smile at them. I'm telling you, it's contagious.
I've said that at the end of all 3 of my last shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Apparently, maybe you're contagious to me, Jerry, because I watch it every day.
I keep thinking, the people that are suffering from substance use, they get scorned at, they get treated bad, they've got stigma, get away from me, stinky, whatever.
Oh, I look at that's their issue. I'm pretty awesome. I know that part of recovery is your centered self, not self-centered, centered self. So I love myself, and I'm pretty confident in that. And somebody doesn't, I guess it's their loss.
Yeah, but a little smile goes a long way.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Jerry.
See you later. Bye-bye, everyone.